Yes, please.
Evening, Mr. Lee. When you first architected Singapore as a country, did you envisage Singapore as an energy hub, and did it meet your expectation?
In a way, yes, because Shell had already placed its first storage tanks in Bukom. And we had no oil. But what we provided Shell with was security, stability, safety, and predictability. And I think several countries tried to persuade Shell to move their hub to where the oil was. So it went up to, this is hearsay, but I think pretty accurate. Went up to the top, and they asked the man on the spot, and said, "Sir, we've been here for X number of years. We've never had any trouble. It's reliable, it's secure, it's predictable, and it's working. And it's still working."
Mr. Lee, you've just come back from an extended trip to the United States where you were engaging government and business leaders. Could you share with us some of the issues or concerns that were voiced to you about the situation in the world and the challenges that we're facing at the moment?
Well, they're worried about their own debt problems and budget deficits. They're also worried about the euro. And so are we, because more than half of our exports go to either the US or the euro. So if the two of them do not flourish, we are going to be less successful.
And is this something you think it will be a short-term issue, or is it something that's going to play out for some years to come?
Oh, this is not going to be resolved in a couple of months or maybe in a couple of years. These are long-term problems that have taken some time to develop into the stage it has, and resolution will take a similarly long time. And there must be the political will to take the unpleasant steps that have to be taken. You take the U.S. High debt, budget deficits. If you raise taxes, the president may not be re-elected. So if I was thinking what I would do if I were him. So I'll probably raise bonds, so no taxes are increased, and with the bonds, put the bridges, the roads, the airports, and all the infrastructure which are not in top class condition, and bring them up to mark. And that will generate activity, workers with work, coins in the pocket, money will begin to flow. At least for some time. Whether you can continue like that without triggering a more optimistic view of the economy and getting investments flowing, I don't know. But I will try to get something going. As for the euro, it assumes that 17 countries can march the drama that beats for the Germans. I can imagine the French and the Germans marching in step and Benelux. But I find it difficult to get the Greeks to march in that pace. But they've gone into it now. The political commitments have been made, and they'll be loath to admit it was mistaken. So they're going to go on with it and patch it up. Mutual guarantees. But the problem will recur. There's Greece, there's Portugal, there's Spain, there's even Italy. I mean, you read the commentaries, I read them, you can calculate the problems. If the Greeks were on their own currency, the drachma, they can devalue, become competitive, and recover. But they're on the euro, so they can borrow at euro rates, and they have borrowed at euro rates, spent as if they were spending the drachma, and now there's a problem repaying the euro in euros. Have you followed me?
Yes. So is your sense that there is the political will to tackle the problem?
There's definitely the political will not to admit defeat. But whether the political will is strong enough to ensure success over the long term, that's another matter. I'll have to wait and see. You know, it's as if you remember when the ringgit and the Singapore dollar parted company, it was $1 to $1, right? Mm-hmm. Now it's $1 to 220 or 230. So that allows a certain flexibility. Supposing you were forced to join up like conjoined twins, or march like in lockstep, it's going to be very troublesome time. But this freedom of the currency exchange allows those economies that are not caught up or have let's put it this way. The Greeks spend more and save less than the Germans. It's in the nature of the people. So the Germans are paying for it. First time, second time, third time, fourth time. Forever? I doubt it.
Let me wrap up with one final question related to the question of political will and the 9 billion challenge. Do you think governments will have the political will to address that issue of the 9 billion people challenge, or do you think businesses and communities will have to play a bigger role?
No, how can you stop the birth rates of people in Africa being higher than those in India or Asia or China? Even India is falling with overpopulation. How does that affect Africa? There are wide open spaces in Africa, at least visibly, but whether there's enough arable land and resources to support a larger population at the rate they're going, that's another matter. I mean, who can intervene? Not even their own governments can intervene. There's a free choice of the people, of the couples who are married.
But insofar as in developing the the technologies and the resources to help meet the growing demand? Do you think governments can step up and do more, or is it left to the communities and the businesses?
I suppose the US and the EU can give advice on how to increase yields by irrigation, fertilization, and double cropping. But that will only compound the problem, then they'll multiply faster, then what? No. People have to solve their own problems. At the end of the day, have you got a government, or can you vote in a government, or can you form a government that will settle your own problems? You cannot expect other governments to come along and save you. They can give you advice, they can give you aid, one off, two off, but not all the time. You are preoccupied with a world problem which you cannot solve. I understand your preoccupations, I understand your sense of humanity, but I'm also realistic enough to know that I cannot solve these problems.
Okay, on that note, I think we will call it an end for tonight's session. Please join me in thanking Mr. Lee for his insights into the future of energy guidance.